You are watching a master at work.
Breaking news, a horrific accident in Jurupa Valley. We are just learning 4 dogs mauled to death a man at a home that was converted to a business. Happened around 7:30 this morning at the corner of Bellegrave Avenue and Martin Street. The property owner was not present. 3 of the dogs were Belgian Malinois. The 4th was a cane corso. The victim's identity has not been released. He was reportedly at the property to do some work for the owner. The dogs were turned over to Riverside County Animal Services and euthanized.
What happened to you? Got bitten in the ass today, son. By a stinking ass filthy dog. You should have seen it. Biggest dog I've ever seen in my life. I said, doggy, please don't bite me, dog. And I turned around to jump over the fence. The dog grabbed my ass. Told you.
In Jurupa Valley, a man mauled to death by 4 dogs while working at a home converted into a business. He's just been identified as 42-year-old Mateo Salvador. Neighbors heard his screams and called for help, but it was too late. Eyewitness News reporter Michelle Fisher spoke to Riverside County Animal Services.
The Beware of Dogs sign on this gate is a clear warning, but the fatal attack on 42-year-old victim Mateo Salvador, who was doing work at this property, is likely something he didn't see coming.
The gentleman had been at the property before and probably had some level of comfort around the animals. Here's a guy just wanting to come do some work, earn some money for himself and his family, and now he's deceased. And this is a tragedy.
It happened Tuesday morning at Homeland Electric, a business inside this converted home at the corner of Bellegrave Avenue and Martin Street in Jurupa Valley. Around 7, a neighbor saying he heard screams.
A male person talking very loud, like he was either upset about something or in distress for about 10 minutes.
After someone else called 911 because of the man screaming, Riverside County Sheriff's deputies arrived a short time later and discovered what had happened.
This man was attacked by 4 dogs. 3 of the dogs are Belgian Malinois, and 1 is a cane corso.
Neighbors say those 4 dogs are well known on the street.
I hear them barking when there's any activity, walking down the sidewalk, walking down Martin, then they will bark.
The owner wasn't home at the time of the attack, but showed up after deputies and surrendered the dogs for humane euthanasia. Witnesses say deputies secured the area around nearby Jurupa Valley High School as a precaution.
They locked up the gate, they secured everybody.
The tragedy now serving as a reminder for dog owners.
Any type of work that's going to be done on a property where dogs are around, you always want to make sure the public and workers are going to be safe.
It's your ass, Mr. Postman. Are they yours?
Yep.
Get them away from us. He's already bitten me, possibly killed another person.
Get them away from us. A horrific scene. An elderly man mauled and killed this afternoon by 2 dogs.
And we do want to warn you, the details and the video we're about to show you are hard to watch. This is part of the video, part of that attack that we can show you. The bloody scene unfolding in front of witnesses on Deplis Street off of Couples Road on the west side. Firefighters say they had to use their emergency tools just to try to get these dogs away from the man they had mauled just feet away.
Yeah, his body behind that trash can. Patty Santos on the scene where she has been talking to neighbors who are just getting word that a man was killed. In many ways, Patty, I have to think this is their worst nightmare.
Yeah, and as horrific as this attack was, they tell me they have been living in fear for a very long time of being attacked by these dogs, and now they're angry that an 80-year-old man and his wife were mauled by these dogs. Take a look. This is a video that a neighbor took, the 2 dogs going after firefighters, and basically firefighters just pulled up and started a rescue to keep the dogs away from the victims. A firefighter was also bitten, and a 4th person was taken to the hospital with a hand bite. Chief Hood says this was such an out-of-the-ordinary call. It was even traumatic for his crew.
Firefighters were very heroic in this instance, fighting off these pit bulls with pickaxes and pike poles to try to get to the patients. During that time, one of the captain on the ladder was bitten in the leg. Thankfully, he is okay. Unfortunately, we do have 2 people that were mauled by these dogs.
And just about an hour ago, the 2 dogs were taken away by ACS while the investigation is underway. A 3rd dog was also taken away from the home, but the dogs have already bitten people in the past, and ACS says the dogs were returned after they were quarantined. They've also told us that they've been called to this neighborhood about complaints dealing with dogs. Coming up at 6, you're going to hear from a woman who says her son was bitten by these dogs, and she's angry that it took someone dying for these dogs to be removed from this neighborhood. We'll send it back to you.
Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news.
Was it like, how your ass feel, Mr. Jones? Get out of my house.
New details and new video tonight of the dogs that were involved in a deadly mauling on the west side. Tonight, a new neighbor is coming forward saying that they also witnessed the dogs attack a different victim. This was back in July.
Yeah, they want answers on why those dogs were initially taken from their owner, then returned despite multiple complaints of bites. The night team's Patty Santos breaks down today's big story.
The man's walking and the dogs just come from behind and they're running and they just attack him.
Deborah Flores says this surveillance video is from January. Flores says that's her and her son trying to scare away the pack of dogs attacking that man.
My son heard him and he got his Orby gun and started shooting the dogs to go away, and it worked, but luckily the man just got a bit on his leg.
Flores says it is the same group of dogs that mauled an 81-year-old man. Animal Care Services says 2 of the dogs in today's attack bit someone earlier this year, but ACS has not confirmed if this video is of that January incident. Tonight, Flores is demanding accountability from the owners.
Take responsibility. Your dogs killed somebody.
Investigators say the elderly man was able to protect his wife, who was taken to the hospital with injuries. They say the dog also bit a firefighter on the foot and a Good Samaritan in the hand.
Firefighters were very heroic in this instance, fighting off these pit bulls with pickaxes and pike poles to try to get to the patients.
3 pit bulls were taken away from this home on Depla Street near Couples after the attack. All 3 dogs will be euthanized tonight.
En el 2021 mordió a mi hijo.
Sylvia Avila says the dogs have a history of biting multiple people around the neighborhood, including her own son on his property.
Nadie ha hecho nada. Yo me encargo de hacer los follow-ups. Nadie ha hecho nada. Todo el neighborhood está espantado.
She says efforts to get officials to do something have been ignored. ACS is leading the investigation with the help of SAPD. They report multiple contacts with the dog owners.
By state law, unless there is an affidavit or a severe bodily injury case or something like that, again, those bites were mild, so those animals finished their state-required quarantine, and the owner paid reclaim fees, and by state law, we were required to return those animals.
The city says it's providing counseling to the residents who witnessed the tragic scene and first responders.
Seeing as far as how they battle these dogs, a couple of firefighters are emotionally probably scarred from this.
And tonight, police tell us there are multiple charges pending in connection with this case. I also got a chance to talk to a woman who tells me she knows the couple. She tells me they were there to visit her mother and they were returning back to their car when they were attacked. Steve, Stephanie.
Thank you, Patty. Still so many questions about this case. Now, ACS, Animal Care Services, confirmed 3 calls for service involving at least 2 of the dogs. That includes 2 confirmed bite cases in September of 2021 and January of this year. ACS says both incidents involved mild or moderate injuries. The dogs also completed a state-required quarantine before being returned to their owners.
Now, ACS says that the people involved declined to file a dangerous dog designation, which would have placed more restrictions on the owners. SAPD also spoke with the owners while responding to a dog-related call in November of last year. ACS says the owners were told the dogs have to be kept in the yard. The city of San Antonio is now investigating whether the dogs were involved in any additional calls to 911 or 311.
Obviously.
Daddy, Chico! It's lunchtime, eh?
We're gonna get you a ride. Run! Chico! Chico, run!
Chico, no!